to Garcia. Off the deflection. Los Fresnos comes back and wins. Now Santa Maria will put up a three. Bang! Santa Maria.
Here's Warner. Here comes a head of the jam. Counted for two. Field. Adios! And the Falcons win on a walk-off. And it's saved. What a game. What's this? Smack.
To the left. That is gone.
Rafa Perez. That's my play. Off the backboard. Counted. And a win.
And a win. Ryan Perez wins the game for the Santa Rosa Warriors, and they go nuts. And why not?
What's going on, everyone? Kevin Arrow here, coming to you live from Luke Faria Motors in Brownsville, Texas. Ruben Rodriguez here to my right. Week 7 of high school football already here. We're knee-deep in district play and a lot to talk about. Today we're going to be joined by Brownsville Porter head coach Carlos Uresti and Marine Military Academy coach Bobby Lucio. That'll be later in the show. But right now we're going to go ahead and break down what exactly went on in Week 6. It was a crazy 48 hours with the weather Friday night. That carrying into Saturday. We saw some games get postponed into Saturday. Some games were still able to be played in the Upper Valley on Friday night. So it was just a wild 48 hours on Friday. I know both of our games got postponed into Saturday. You were down at Sam's Saturday morning at 11 a.m., and I wound up being at St. Joe early into Saturday morning. So looking back at Week 6, before we break down the scores, just briefly, what stood out to you in Week 6?
Well, one of the games that stood out to me, like I said, Friday, I was supposed to be at Sam's, but got pushed back, so I stayed home. I watched Mission versus PSJ. Shout out to Jacob Young, had a good call on that one. Mission just pulled off a comeback. Kevin Guerra took charge, just stepped up big, and even the defense made a good play with the blocked field goal at the end. So I just really stood up, and that just shows how 31-6A continues to be a toss-up, but still Edinburgh Villa, the key leader in 31-6A, also getting a win on that one over Edinburgh High. Shout out to John Trevino. I was actually watching that one too. I was switching back between those two games, and yeah, it was just awesome. And it was the wild weather, and then Mercedes also getting a huge win to get Dance Couch.
Yeah, that weather pushed everything back into Saturday. And starting with Thursday's scores, Mission Veterans beat Sherryland 27-16. La Villa beat MMA 40-7. Somerset beating Hidalgo 28-7. Edinburgh Economides beating La Jolla Juarez Lincoln 19-0. And then into Friday, the games that did get played, Mission beat PSJ High 42-41. Edinburgh Vella beat Edinburgh High 48-7. PSJ Memorial 31, Valley View 14. Sherryland Pioneer 40, Roma 21. Mercedes 35, Edcal Chelsea 10. PSJ North 27, Edinburgh North nothing. Corpus Christi London 41, Lyford 26. Skidmore Tynan 38, Monte Alto nothing. Falls Furias 40, Progreso 9. Corpus Christi West Oso 34, Rio Hondo 20, and then rolling into Saturday's games, the games that did get pushed back. Of course, the big one, the Bird Bowl, Harlingen South beating Harlingen 28-21, San Benito beating Hanna 49-21, PI beating Raymondville 40-22, St. Joe getting the win against Austin Brentwood 55-34, Westlaco 24, Rivera 7, and then Los Fresnos 51, Donna North nothing. And of course, the elephant in the room for Week 6 was the Bird Bowl, the 29th Bird Bowl. All the anticipation, all the hype going into Friday night. Bogus was basically underwater. Both roads to get there were underwater. The coaches decided the turf even started puffing up a little bit. We've seen that before in the past. Game got moved to Saturday at 1 o'clock. I wound up getting there at around the fourth quarter, and just walking up to Bogus, hearing the crowd for the first time in a long time was really, really neat. Knowing that it was at a capacity crowd and you had that feel that it was just a big game. And I got there a few minutes right before the scoop and score for South. Harlingen wound up scoring late. South fumbled the football. They were able to recover, and just finally, 14 years, the streak is finally over. So it was a huge win for Harlingen South, and with Coach Izzy Gonzalez is continuing to build there at Harlingen South. And it was everything everyone hoped for, and then some.
Yeah, like you said, I got there about the middle of the third quarter, and it was just, like I said, it felt like normal. It felt like we were back like 2 years back. It felt like not only was it a big game, obviously it was a rivalry game, but it felt like it was like we were in a playoff atmosphere. Like, it was just insane. But to see Harlingen South get that win after 14 years, it was just a long time coming. And I'm actually going to quote you, because you said when Izzy Gonzalez was hired by HCISD, it was a home run. You were right. It was actually a grand slam. And the way he just turned that program around just shows. And I don't know, man. I'm still like a little bit in shock after that one.
Yeah, definitely a big win for Harlingen South. And then Brownsville St. Joe, they got the win at home against Austin Brentwood. That game was wild because we had kickoff originally set for 6 Friday night, it got pushed back to 7, 7:30. 7:30 became 8. 8 became 8:30. And then eventually we lost power in the field house at about 9:30. And we're like, okay, there's no power in the field house. There was no power to turn on the lights. So one thing kept leading to another. And then finally both coaches just elected to play the next morning at 11 a.m. And St. Joe came out firing. And it was just a matter of, who's going to regroup, who's going to go back. And for Austin Brentwood, they wound up having to get a hotel. So they had a long day. St. Joe was able to, be back in their homes and go back to sleep like normal. But both teams came out firing. Austin Brentwood came out and scored on their opening drive. They answered 7-7, 14-7, 14-14. But I think that the play of the game was early in that. Midway through that second quarter, Coach Tino Villarreal went for it on fourth down, like at their own 30. They converted. They wound up going down and score a touchdown. To start the second half, they go with an onside kick. They recover. They score. Luigi Cristiano, he had a tremendous game. He had 6 total touchdowns. But the big story there was Adrian Del Pozo. The kid came back. He wasn't healthy earlier in the year, played a half against Hebronville, missed last week's game, came into the Brentwood game, had 2 receiving touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, and then also came down with an interception. So just a clear utility weapon for Coach Tino Villarreal, what Del Pozo does, and he's only a junior. We saw a good rushing attack, who I was surprised to see from the Viraudi boys. Those 2 guys just carried the freight out of the backfield, and of course Cristiano just doing what he does. So I thought that was a really impressive showing for St. Joe, who continuing to get better each week. So that's the game I was at Saturday. You were just down the street at Sam's with San Benito and Hannah.
Yeah, San Benito continuing to be a key powerhouse in 32-6A alongside Harlingen South, actually knocking off Hannah at home quickly. Jermaine Corbin, 2 touchdowns, got Real Sports Live Player of the Game. We also had Fabian Garcia also with 2 running touchdowns, taking him for more than 50-plus yards. And just Dan Gomez just doing a heck of a job there. And he has his hands full, though, because like I said, Harlingen South is going to be a big one. But San Benito still continues to be one of the best. You also have Rodney Rodriguez, who's taking the snaps, also left early in the game to bring in Andres Villagrán, who also continued the powerhouse attack for San Benito. So the Greyhounds are just steamrolling, showing why they're called the War Dogs, pretty much.
Mark Champion, going back to Thursday, also stood out for Mission Veterans. He had 2.5 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, and then he had that pick 6 where he stepped back, defended the screen, tipped it, caught it himself, and then ran it back. And that pretty much put the game on ice for Mission Vets, and that was a huge play for the Patriots. And all of a sudden, they're starting to click. They're starting to find their groove. They get the win against Sherryland. Now they have PSJ Southwest this week, and then it's going to set up the big-time matchup against Mercedes. And I can say safely, just about, predicting a little bit, that it's almost safe to say that both Mission Vets and Mercedes will be going toe-to-toe in 2 weeks, and they'll both be undefeated, and that'll ultimately be for the district championship. So those are a few things that stood out to me. And then, of course, Port Isabel continuing to just steamroll through their district. They get the win against Raymondville. On Saturday, their game had to get moved back. They got a big test against Sinton this week. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But anything else that stood out to you outside of those games that you covered?
Actually, no. A lot of these games did come. Also, like I said, Edinburgh Villa, Chase Campbell also continuing to heat up here. The Sabercats are just, I don't know, they're just a different breed, I can say. And then once again, that Mission PSJ game was just shootout. Kevin got out, did great, and then obviously Bird Bowl. And then, I don't know, man, it was a wild week.
Yeah, that Friday night turned into Saturday morning for a lot of people. So we're going to step aside, take a break. On the other side of the break, we're going to be joined by the Leathernecks coach, Bobby Lucio. You're watching Real Sports Live.
The Brownsville Independent School District continues to provide a safe environment for enriching education. From pre-K3 to early college high school, the award-winning district has advanced its legacy in curriculum, athletics, and fine arts. Teachers are driving the frontier of technology, bringing industry to the classroom. On and off the field, Brownsville ISD students engage in the experiences that make them college and career ready. Brownsville Independent School District, the best choice.
And he throws it down. Hey! See you later, touchdown.
And look for your motors, we're moving forward. Same great service, same great people, same great cars and trucks, and these great white letters. Our vision is crystal clear. Look for your motors. We're on the move.
We're the Lady Cougars, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Here at Texas A&M University, Kingsville, we are a family. We support each other through thick and thin. We work together, grow together, excel together. We inspire each other to become the great minds of the future. We are here to ensure you succeed. Apply today to get started. This is your time.
And he throws it down. See you later, touchdown.
I love what I do. I really
love what
do.
I'm doing. I love children.
One of the most important things to do is to love your students.
Imagine teachers like these helping your child prepare to change the world. Take a closer look at Mission CISD.
We're the Harlem and South Lady Hawks, and you're watching Real Sports Live. Hawks up!
Service is attitude. How far are we willing to go to service our community, our dealership here for you, and you? Sky's the limit.
We're the Ray Texans, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Welcome back to Real Sports Live, joined by the great Bobby Lucio here of Marine Military Academy. Coach is in his second year there with the Leathernecks, just down the street in Harlingen. Coach, talking about MMA football, Marine Military Academy, just down the street in Harlingen, down the street from Harlingen High and Bogus, and kind of gets lost in the weeds there just a little bit, but you guys have a good program. You guys have a unique program. And just talk about what 2021 has been like for the Leathernecks.
Well, thank you for having us and opportunity to represent the Marine Military Academy. You're right. We're a smaller private school. We're unique in that we're an all-boys boarding school. These young men come from all over the country. They come from all over the world. So that is different in itself. After 33 years at Harlingen High, going to MMA was going to be somewhat different, but when I was very, very young, my uncle Omar Lucio, who was the former sheriff for Cameron County, he's also my godfather, he would take me to MMA. As a policeman at Harlingen, they allowed him to come and work out and run, have an extra policeman on campus, because back in the 60s there was no gyms or workouts to go to. So I was on that campus when I was 8 and 9 years old. It was a little bit of a homecoming, but the challenge is that these young men come from all over the place. They're not Texas high school football. I'm not saying it because I'm a Texas high school football coach. We are different in Texas, and they're starting to get some of that transition. Because it's a military-based school, their time as far as coaching them is somewhat limited because they have other duties, responsibilities to prepare them for the military or for going to college. But their enthusiasm is no different than any other high school athlete. They keep asking me, what's it like over at Bogus Stadium? They know the name of the stadium. What is it like when it's a battle of the Arroyo? What's it like when it's Bird Bowl? To have all the number of people in there, and I tell them it's like something you've never seen. The COVID kept us from going and showing them some of those games, and the restrictions are not as they were in place last year, but we're still being careful to have them go out and see some games. But we're starting to travel a little bit, and they're excited. Before Jim Morton, who took over and then asked me to come join him, they were struggling as far as numbers or getting enthusiasm, getting boys out there, and they struggled with the program somewhat. Jim has put together a real good staff. The boys have bought into it, just like any coach will tell you. They have to believe. Jim can't play the game. I can't play the game anymore. The boys have to play. And we've been fortunate, and last year we were 5-1. This year we're 4-1. Unfortunately, we're coming off a loss. Danny Pettis and Lavia did a great job of preparing his squad and taught us a lesson in preparing as a staff and preparing. The boys need to be prepared. Don't take things for granted. Just because you're undefeated doesn't mean it's going to continue. And Lavia's got a big game themselves with Fremont for their district championship. So they were motivated. And fortunately, we started a district. MMA has a district, a conference that we're in. The Texas Charter School Academic and Athletic League, TCSAAL. And our first district game will be in Corpus, a neutral site. We're playing Houston KIPP Generations Collegiate. We have 3 district games, and then if we're able to be successful, we get to advance to the state playoffs with a possible state championship, which has not happened at MMA since 1976 when Jim Morton, Jim's dad, was the head coach and athletic director. So it's exciting times on our campus at the Marine Military Academy. The cadets are excited. They've gone out. They keep asking, when do we get to travel to watch you play? The boys are, where are we going? Is it a turf field? Is Real Sports Live going to be there to cover us? Our parents want to know what you've done, whether it was inadvertent or not because of COVID, especially for the Marine Military Academy. You provided an avenue, a platform for these families that are out of the country, out of state, to take a look at their boys and see how they're playing. And then I'll get an email like, you need to get on him, coach. I'm like, wow, these parents from out of state are learning Texas high school football.
And, going into this year, when I would cover the team when Rick Medill was there, every time I would go over during spring ball, it's like, well, we don't exactly have an exact number back because kids come and go. Last year, the same thing when Morton's first year there, when you were there, same conversation. This year, though, however, the theme, right when I walked into y'all's gym, you said, Kevin, we got everybody back. This is the first time in a long time that I can remember that. So just having them back and understanding the system under Morton, under yourself, you got to be at least 10 steps ahead of where you were opposed to last year.
And there's no doubt in that. Every coach in Texas, college and high school, let's have a spring ball, put some things in so when we return in the fall in August, we can continue to add to that. At the Marine Military Academy, from what I've heard, what I've been told, you never know who's coming back because of either finances or travel, or a young man wants to go to a different school. In the spring, when we spoke to the young men, they're like, Coach, we're coming back. My parents want us to remain here. Part of it because of the safety and security that the Marine Military Academy provided during this very difficult COVID time for everyone, not just in our school, but in the world. So what the administration was able to provide was really heartwarming and reassuring to the families. At the same time, we did enjoy some success. We were very fortunate. The players bought into the system. They played very hard, and their families saw that and like, you know what, let's continue there. So having these young men come back and not having to reteach terminology or verbiage, not having to teach scheme from the ground up, gave us the opportunity to start a little more advanced than even we had anticipated, and we're able to build on that, which is really great because now we do have a district and we're not reinventing the wheel in August. We hit the ground rolling.
And you talked about the athletes you guys have on both sides of the ball. Again, off to a 4-0 start, 4-1 now, but hey, that through 5 games, 4-1 is not bad for you guys, and you guys continue to get better each week. What has stood out to you, and what do you know about your team? Because there's always an identity of a team, and I feel through 5 weeks you have a good idea of who you are. So just who are the Leathernecks at this point in the season?
The Marine Military Leathernecks are a group of young men who, because of the military training, they're in shape, okay? But now they're learning the intensity of the sport and how to compete. It's one thing to say we're going to play football, okay? You can do that in the sandlot. You can do that in the backyard. You can do it in the street. To play Texas high school football, there has to be a level of intensity and enthusiasm and emotion, and they're bringing that to the table. Malik Rivers, whose dad Reggie played for the Denver Broncos, is starting to realize this is my last year. And we have a William Webb, who's a captain. He won the state championship in the discus as a sophomore. He's a junior. Now he's a captain for us, and he's helping build the team. We have a young man that moved in from Georgia playing quarterback for us, Ben Smith, another from Arizona, who moved in, Nathan Harvey, both competing for the quarterback. And actually, if you've seen us, and you have, they take turns. Not that we can't choose one. Each one brings something a little different to the table, and we know that if you're preparing for MMA, you have to prepare for 2 different style of quarterbacks. That makes it difficult. We're playing fast is the word I'll use that Texas high school football want to say. That team plays fast. That team plays hard. That team is difficult to prepare for. That's what we're hoping we get to. From what I hear from other people, we're actually becoming that way. And you guys, they're giving credit to the coaches. I have not played a game in over 40 years. I have very little to do with that. The athletes have taken it upon themselves to realize this is our team, and we're going to do the best we can with it. And the biggest compliment I can pay our athletes is they're now Texas high school football players.
You know, the one thing that I always enjoy when I go to MMA is I've met kids from Vietnam, Nigeria, Washington State, just all over the world and all over the country. Obviously, you've had some time there at MMA, but what are some stories that maybe stick out to you from different kids, different backgrounds, different cultures?
The first year, last year, and we went to play Fremont, our first game of the year with no scrimmage, and for a week I'd been as a receiver coach and as office coordinator calling plays. I need you as a receiver to go line up outside the numbers. And we get to Fremont, and Jesse Chikwanye, who has not returned yet from Nigeria, having some issues with the consulate on getting paperwork. That's something we're not used to in Texas high school football, that the consulate is having to go through it. But Jesse came up to me in pregame, and he goes, Coach, because Fremont has an artificial turf field, and he pointed to the number on the sideline. Is these the numbers that you're talking about? I'm like, yes, Jesse. That's something that as a Texas high school football coach, never had to even think about. I had to realize I'm still a teacher, which I am. I have to teach them what the field is, what the hashes are, what the sidelines are, what is the boundary, what is the sideline. There's a lot of teaching involved. But at the same time, they come in and they've played soccer. They call it football. And they've played basketball. They've played sports. They've competed. It was a matter of learning what we expected of them, what we wanted for them. And then to hear them talk about the food we have here in the Valley and what are fajitas or fajitas, okay? Rice, you call it what? We call it arroz, okay? And beans. Every culture in the world eats rice, but the spices that we use here in the Valley are different. And the food culture, the music culture, the religion culture is something that's actually beautiful to discuss. And they're very intelligent young men, and they're open to ideas. And it's not just football; it's life. And it's been an eye opener for me as a person and also as a coach. And it's to me, it's actually made me a better person, a better coach.
Bobby Lucio from Marine Military Academy. Coach, switching gears over to the Bird Bowl, the 29th Bird Bowl that just went down this past Saturday. Obviously, you have extremely close ties, 33 years at Harlingen High. And basically, if you want to know anything about Harlingen football, there's two people you ask, Eladio Jaimes and Bobby Lucio. 90% of the time, they will have an answer. 90% accurate?
No, I think it's higher than that. I think we're going to go up to about 99.
99%
all right,
of the time.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I just know when I need a Harlingen question, you ask this guy here. But Coach, you mentioned that you were planning on being there Friday. The weather came in, wiped it out. The game had to be Saturday. Did you get to watch it at all, or how did you watch it?
I was able to get on to Rio Sports Live and watch some of it. It took a while. I had a commitment at my dad's house for the Saturday. I had sideline passes for Friday night. It was bittersweet in that of course I'm a Harlingen High alumni. I was there for Bird Bowl 1. I can tell you anything you want from Bird Bowl 1 through 27, where I coached at. But Izzy Gonzalez, Israel, his father, Israel Gonzalez, was a fireman. My dad was the fire chief who hired Israel. I coached Izzy. Izzy was a fireman before he came over to Harlingen. Izzy is extremely important to my dad and to our family. So I was very happy for him, but at the same time, texting my boys. I haven't texted Manny. Okay, I know to leave him alone and give him some space and prepare for the rest of his season. But I'm texting the boys, hey, fellas, what's going on over at our alma mater and dear old HHS? I'm proud of Izzy. He's got a huge game coming up with Dan. And then next week is the game that's really important to me, is the Battle of the Arroyo. And at times at MMA, they're like, you know where you're at now. You're at MMA. I know where I'm at, but I can't forget where I came from, because where I came from is what's I'm helping to bring to some of our athletes there. But at the same time, sure, it was everything that it's supposed to be. It was spectacular. The tide turned, ebbs and flows, and I was proud of Izzy. Both teams represented. Obviously, I'm disappointed in the Cardinals a little bit. I can't sit here and lie, but yes, it was a fun game.
Is it going to be one of those games where we'll look back 10, 15 years and all remember that that's the game, the one where it got rained out. We had to play it on a beautiful Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock, and then the 14-year drought was snapped. Did you feel that I feel that it's going to be that way, that this is a game that people will still be talking about years down the road.
I agree with you. Anytime a streak of that nature comes to an end, there's, where were you type moment, okay? It was a beautiful, but it was a hot Saturday. Maybe it was nice that I wasn't there. The emotion, what I could see on TV, it was still a packed stadium. Okay, because Bogus on a Friday night is unbelievable. There's nothing like it for either South or Harlingen High. But it was still packed, and Izzy brings a lot to the table, and I, in texting him, I said, teach us all a lesson. And there's something we still need to learn. Not that Manny needs to learn, but maybe some of his assistants need to learn something, because I was one of them, and I'd hear that message. Maybe some of us need to learn to get better. And I think Izzy provided, and his staff, the players, they did a great job, and I hope that was paid attention to. And like you said, this is something that down the road, maybe this was a turning point, but it is something that will be remembered. There's no doubt.
You mentioned the word emotion. Obviously, it was Manny and Izzy, as tight-knit as they are. It was, like I had mentioned, teacher versus student, and Izzy taking over at South, Manny at Harlingen, two Harlingen boys in the same town. The hype was there for the Bird Bowl because it's the Bird Bowl, but adding the fact that it was those two guys, and then of course Coach Woodall, that was the extra added motivation and just emotion, because Woodall, obviously you spent a lot of time with him as a Cardinal. He went over to South, and then it's so sad that he's gone now, but all that just added up to just building up to this special game that happened on Saturday, football aside. I think it's Eladio that I always tease him when I have him on my shows. I ask him, Eladio, who you picked in the win of the Bird Bowl, and he has Harlingen wins.
Sure, he's a board member. He's like my Uncle Omar. There's voters on both sides of town. Okay, and to your point, Monty Woodall, may he rest in peace. He was wonderful for what he did. He's a Harlingen alumni. He worked at MMA as well. We remember him there. Right. His birthday would have been this last Sunday, October 3rd, and I texted one of his boys that will always remember him and what he did. As a matter of fact, let's enjoy a beverage today and let's laugh and enjoy the day in his memory. But there's a lot that was wrapped up in that game, and I was proud for both staffs in how they handled themselves, how they were both teams were ready to play. It was a hard-fought game, and Manny and his staff need to regroup in a hurry. They got Westico. That's not easy. They're doing a great job there, and Izzy's got to regroup. That's unfortunate that you had to celebrate it for one day, because Monday morning or Sunday afternoon, it's time to play again, and I hope they both will do well and continue to enjoy success.
So this was Bird Bowl 29. You were there at the start in 93, fall in
93, yes sir, 93.
93, busting free in 93. That's the adage.
Yes sir.
Just talk about the growth of that rivalry in 29 short years, though. I feel like it's just a big brother, little brother rivalry where, to me, there's no malice, there's no hate like a San Benito Harlingen and Chelsea Mercedes. I see it as a big brother, little brother, where gotta punch him in the gut, pick him back up, give him a hug.
I think maybe it's evolved to that. That's not how it started.
That's what I've heard.
Okay. When Harlingen South took the field that first time in '93, they had 25 returning lettermen from a Cardinal team that was district champs in '92. They were actually favored to win Bird Bowl 1. They were favored to win the district, and we had oh my God, we had a challenge. We only had 15 returning. They were very talented, and they have been for many years. And they jumped out to a 12-0 lead on the first two series. So we're like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, I wonder how long my career is going to be here at Harlingen. And we were fortunate to come back. We had Nacho say the extra point, the late Mo Hunter with a touchdown, Paul Flotas on a fourth down touchdown, and we were able to pull that one out. And it was a difficult existence for both schools because we didn't know how to handle the transition, and I didn't help it any at all in printing T-shirts and making sure that we're not forgotten, because whenever you have a new school, you have a new house, you have a new vehicle, there's the new kid in town, and we were no different. We're still not. Don't forget who we are. I used 2 years later when the line came out, I had a T-shirt out with their great tag, "Remember who you are," and that was directed at Harlingen High. I put it on the shirt. Okay, we're who we are for people before us to continue that in the future. But now it's more of how can we help each other. It has been for the last several years, and now especially with Izzy there, how can we share ideas? I've spoken to Ince, their stud linebacker. I know his dad, a very good player for us. They're very good people. They're not enemies. They're not. Do they want to beat each other? No doubt. Is there a way we can help each other? Yes. And my family's from San Benito. Okay, where my daddy went to school at St. Joe, but my uncle's from San Benito High. My mom, the first words I ever learned in English were "Purple and Gold Forever." I had to sing their song because that's where he lived till he moved to Harlingen as a fireman. I don't know that they hate each other. That's more of a family thing, and when we clean our house, my house looks better than your house type thing. There's the love there. The animosity is because we're family, not because we don't like each other.
And talking about your Harlingen ties and just everything you go back to, obviously, you mentioned you have your San Benito, your history there with San Benito, but your Harlingen ties, and before we move on from the Bird Bowl, but just what's your best Bird Bowl memory on the 27 that you covered?
Well, my son played for me, so it was nice to see him score in 2 out of the 3 Bird Bowls that he played, so that was nice. My daughter was always a ball girl, and then for her senior year, that we hung 70 on them. And that was because of my daughter, to see when your children are happy and enjoying, you remember that. But I'm going to go all the way back to Bird Bowl 1 because it could have been different. We don't win that game, the narrative could have changed easily. And who knows what happens after that. Bird Bowl 2 was no different. We got to the fourth quarter, and they're up 22-12 on us. They got a 10-point lead again. And a field goal that Harlingen will swear was good. South will tell you it wasn't. The referee said it was good. So it counted 25-22, not just Salceda. That helps build. My favorite memory was they had some very good teams. Messick's team was unbelievable. And they had some very talented teams. And we were fortunate in that in my 27 years there, I was able to hoist that trophy 23 times. There's a whole bunch of memories. Other than Luke and Leia and the beginning, they all go in together. There's not one year better than the other, and even when we weren't fortunate enough to win, shook hands with them because those coaches worked hard. Alex Leal, I'm going to say he's the greatest coach in Valley history, and Richard Flores is not to forget him, or John Lerma. Tony V's got something going on over there as well. Mike Burgett's got it going on over at East. Tony James, of course, Manny and Izzy and Dan have their chance to add to it, but when he took over at South, and he made sure that they were ready to go, and I think Izzy's going to get him in that same direction.
I agree. Again, back to your Harlingen ties. You mentioned you had some time at MMA. So just talk about that for people that don't know. Bobby Lucio, when he started at MMA, then went over to Harlingen.
Well, I mean, I was at MMA just because I was running with my uncle. In 1968, 69, I forgot the year was, he took me to go run, and there was a wooden building. He took me, and then there was a trampoline. In the 60s, a trampoline in the Valley did not exist. There's no gyms that you see now, or if there was, they were a shoestring budget. And I mean, I was wide-eyed, look at this place. And do you want to come to school here? And I'm like, I don't know about that, because I just come out of St. Anthony's, and I was going to Zavala Elementary, the greatest school in the universe. But I loved the way it looked. Every time we'd go to an airport, I'd look at the field and wonder what it's like to coach there. Harlingen High and Vernon Junior Highs, and what Harlingen taught me was priceless. And then I worked there. They provided for my family. There's no way I'll ever forget what they did. The opportunity that MMA has now provided for me, for my future and my grandchildren, and still for Luke and Leia, for Amanda, for Nick. I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity and continue to work hard. But I think even those people there, the good people at MMA, know that this guy's got a lot of Harlingen Cardinal in him. There's no way around it. And what was nice about retiring, so I could get 2 checks, okay, this was more of a business than it was, I didn't want to be at Harlingen, was I get to still wear red. So that made it real easy for me. Or it made it easier, not real easy, it made it easier.
Coach, before we go, the baseball playoffs got underway last night, and you and I always go on and on about our Astros. And predictions, what do you think?
The Brewers are playing very well. The Cardinals won like 19 in a row. If the Dodgers, with the second best record in baseball, one of the top records in baseball history, don't get out of tonight, what the narrative will be in the playoffs. I'm still hoping. I could care less what anyone says about the Astros. I'll bang a trash can here if I have to. Okay, they have a championship there, and I think they have a little something for Tampa Bay, and I'm looking at a Giants Astros so we can have an orange October, and let's bring another one to Houston.
I agree.
Yes, sir.
No one tells a better story than Bobby Lucio. So, Coach, thanks for joining us. Good luck this week. I know you guys have to travel up to JP2.
Yes, we'll be in Corpus for our first district game. Then we'll go to Houston the following Friday to a KIPP school, and on a Saturday, 2 weeks from now, come by MMA, Bowman Stadium. Houston Pro Vision Academy will come to close out our district as we prepare for the playoffs.
Anybody you want to thank? Any shout-outs you want to give?
Well, I mean, thanks to our Colonel Dowling and what he does for us and our cadets there. After we had a big win, and he was on announcing to the cadets that they could sleep in on a Saturday. I think they were happier for the sleep in on a Saturday than they were for that we beat Fremont, who beat us the year before. Jim does a great job. Thanks for Jim for having us there and putting that staff together. Larry Cruz and Greg Reininger, who I coached, Cooney Beasley, a former alumni. So the parents of MMA, thank you for sending your boys to us and letting us work with them. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Also, shout out to our guy, Randy Bermea.
Randy Bermea's back, and he texted me like, I took your job. I think I'm doing it better. I'm like, wow, thank you for that. But I'm proud of him. And he's graduated with my daughter, Gutierrez Middle School, and just like my son. And I'm very happy for him, proud of him. And what I told him when I finished at Harlingen, I had 286 wins as an assistant. I know it's all about head coach. Tony V's about to break a record, Alex Dowell's record. As an assistant, as assistants, we work hard. I'm not looking for any kind of recognition from anyone. I'm not. I get it from my athletes that have played before. They text me, they call me, and congratulate me. But I told him, I put a number up there for you and Kevin and Bubba and Ray and any coach anywhere. I hope there's someone out there with more. Okay, as an assistant, I'm going to get to 300 this year, wins. Come get them, fellas. Enjoy a long career because it's fulfilling with the students, with the athletes, with the families you deal with. And I'm telling Randy and all the coaches, come on, fellas, go get that number.
I know you guys got a good tea time every other Saturday, right?
When we get a chance, not during the season. Okay, as soon as the season's over, then yeah, we'll get out there and put a beverage or two on there and see what we can do and talk a little. He'll talk Cal and I'll talk. I'm an LSU fan. I'm struggling with them, okay? Orgeron, sorry, I like what he can't have Joe Burrow all the time, but we'll talk and enjoy.
Definitely. Coach Bobby Lucio, the Marine Military Academy Leathernecks. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having Kevin.
The break. Yes, sir. We're going to have Coach Carlos Uresti of the Porter Cowboys join us.
Rodney Gonzalez of Josh Moody Loans are former Harlingen Cardinals and would like to wish all the teams good luck in tonight's games.
At HCISD, we embrace the future.
We learn to communicate.
At HCISD, we put our best foot forward.
At HCISD, we
make noise! At HCISD, we learn that the smallest of moments can make the deepest impressions.
At HCISD, we are creating the future together.
We are Santa Rosa, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Forever Memories, Antiques and Collectibles, located at 237 North Sam Houston in San Benito, is filled with vintage items, collectibles, and a selection of vinyl records that's as good as it gets. Every shelf, every aisle, and table is filled daily by a number of vendors that ensures that something here just might be the item you have to have. The vinyl record area helps bring an added atmosphere that makes for the fun trip when stepping back in time with the memories. Forever Memories, Antiques and Collectibles in San Benito.
We are Eddie Burgella, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Sherryland ISD, a nationally recognized district focusing on quality and rigorous instruction where every child is immersed in a culture of academic success. A district dedicated to preparing our youth for the future. Our mission is to inspire, educate, and empower all students to reach their full potential and become leaders of the highest moral character. Sherryland ISD, excellence is our tradition.
We are La Via, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Uniforms, etc., you're going to find the opportunity to purchase the best high-quality scrubs. Soon after I learned about how the EDC was helping out the community, and so I did meet with Ms. Castillo. She made it very easy, very friendly, and she walked me every step of the way. I couldn't have done it without their help.
Come visit our new store in downtown Harlingen. We have furniture, appliances, clothes, collectibles, and more. All funds collected support the Sunny Glen Children's Home. Come see us at Vintage on Jackson at First and Jackson in Harlingen.
I love what I do. I
love
really
what
do.
I'm
doing. I love children.
One of the most important things to do is to love your students.
Imagine teachers like these helping your child prepare to change the world. Take a closer look at Mission CISD.
This game is brought to you in part by the Concession Stand in Santa Rosa, a locally owned business providing a terrific atmosphere before or after the games and supporting athletes of all ages. When you're in Santa Rosa, be sure to stop by the Concession Stand and choose from the wide assortment of goodies. An advertising partner with Rio Sports Live is the Concession Stand. Music lovers, you have to stop and see the assortment of records, tapes, and records memorabilia at Forever Memories today. Located at 237 North Sam Houston in San Benito, Texas, there's over 10,000 records on display and more coming every day. Looking for your favorite album from the past, first pressings, collectibles? How about a 45 with a single you just have to have? Freddie Fender, Johnny Cash, Hank Williams, Elvis, Beatles, blues, rock, classics, Tejano, it's all here. Organized and priced for you. Forever Memories, 237 North Sam Houston, San Benito.
You're La Vida, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Whether you're
Welcome back to Luke Freya Motors here in Brownsville, Texas. Luke Freya Motors right here behind us. One of Brownsville's very own, Coach Carlos Uresti of the Brownsville Porter Cowboys, just down the street here in Brownsville. So, Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the invite.
Yes, sir. So we're in week 7. You guys are coming off a bye. It feels like every year that we're saying, man, we're kickoff. 2-a-days, then 2-a-days becomes week 3, week 3 becomes 5, 5 becomes 7. Going a little quicker than we feel, a little quicker than we thought.
I think so. I think I think everybody was anticipating this year. With the majority of the schools in South Texas not having an off season for the most part due to COVID, we were looking forward to the season to get started just to get our hands on our kids. But now that we have them, I think it's just flying by. Here we are, week 7, like you mentioned, and we're halfway through district already in my district.
Right, so. And Coach here is a part of a 10-team district, which we'll get into a little bit later. But Coach, you were coming off a bye, and we've had coaches on where they're going into their bye when they come on this show, and every coach is different. It's time to get healthy, time for some tweaking, maybe some adjustments. How did you guys spend the bye?
Doing exactly just that, trying to get healthy. We had a couple of kids get hurt. We're bringing the majority back already. We used half the week to get better at things that we need to get better at, not so much concentrating on our following opponent. But we're trying to work our quarterback. We're trying to get our quarterback cleared. Our starting quarterback actually got hurt in the first scrimmage after 4 plays of playing. So we're trying to get him back, trying to get him cleared. Hopefully he'll be back with us sooner than later. But the majority of the time, like I said, trying to get healthy and just trying to get better.
And you guys have, this 10-team district has you, it has Pace, BBM, the 3 McAllens, Palmview in these last 3 or 4 years have been extremely tough. Just talk about the difference of having a 10-team district opposed to an 8. And I know that might not sound like a lot, but the trick is you have 1 non-district game.
Correct.
Full throttle in a district play.
Yeah, and you know what? 2 things on that. First thing, it's not the first time we've been in a 10-team district. We were in it before, so you would think that we'd be used to it. Having said that, not having an off-season with the kids, I think, put everybody in the same boat to an extent. But it's tough, man. It's just tough. Every game's important. You can't look past an opponent because it's a district game. Like you mentioned, we have 1 non-district game. You try to put in all your wrinkles in as fast as you can. But as the season goes on and prolongs, you start adding little by little. But like I said, you can't oversee anybody. Every game's just as important as the next opponent. So you just kind of take it slow, concentrate on the opponent you have that week, and go from there.
Not to go back to last year, but last year was unique because obviously because of COVID, but what it did was that it separated, was it the East and West zone? Is that
Correct.
how you guys did it?
Correct.
I know there was South and North. But you guys
We went East and West. We went East and West. You had the 4 Brownsville schools, and then we went ahead and had West Loquis on our side.
and then we split them up with the McAllen schools, and then you had Palmview on the other side of the spectrum. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, it's the toughest district in the valley. And I'll say it right now. In my opinion, it's the toughest district in the valley. It's not necessarily top heavy. I think there's a lot of competitive teams in the district. When we joined forces, if you want to call it that way or see it that way, we had 6 playoff teams in the previous year. So there's a lot of tradition in these schools. And I think for the most part, it's competitive, like I mentioned. It's competitive every week in, week out. For schools like myself that are up and coming and we're trying to get this building block, it definitely makes it tough. But it's not an excuse for us not to be successful.
And, so because of last year, the way it was, having the East and the West and then the very limited off season, this year I know that things are getting back to normal. You guys were able to start a little bit ahead of schedule. I know we all started ahead of schedule as far as when football was supposed to start.
Yeah.
We as the Valley started on time, and that was great. Just how much was that a help for you guys, especially having to replace a lot of key pieces?
For a team like mine, we were a heavy senior team last year. We ended up bringing back 6 kids back from the last year's starters. One of the kiddos that we lost was, as you know, it's Kevin. So the first thing we needed to initiate and start working on was our quarterback position. Kevin was a 4-year starter for me, did a lot of great things for us, helped us put us back on the map. And a lot of the credit that we get as coaches, we always try to push it down to our players, and he was definitely a big key to our success the last couple of years. But overall as a team, we're just trying to get everybody back. We had a lot of seniors that played last year, sparingly, spot played, but we had a lot of inexperienced players. If you look at our roster right now, we have a lot of seniors that start for us, but had minimal playing time. So for us, we wanted to get them back. We were happy to have the opportunity to start early and just get going with those kids, gain them in practice, and gain them ready for the scrimmages going into the season.
Coaches preach things, throughout a year, and one adage that I think of when you say we're in a 10-team district is it's not a sprint, but it's a marathon.
It is, it's a grind. It's a grind is what it is. It's a grind, like I said. Every team is good. Every time I look at it and we try to break it down, and you can't guess what's going to happen. I think when you look at us play, one thing that we take a lot of pride in is after games when we speak to coaches and they just tell us how tough of an opponent we are. And hearing that from teams that are in the top layer of the district for many people in their eyes keeps us motivated for players and as coaches to continue to grind, continue to work, and look forward to the next game and just continue to get better as the season goes on.
And last year, it was like you guys are knocking on the door, that infamous game on the back of the end zone against Pace.
Against Pace, yeah.
But you guys are there, and you mentioned this is your 5th year, and you were there when Tom Campos was there.
Correct.
Was the last time you guys made the playoffs.
Correct.
I remember when you guys made the playoffs with George Gutierrez.
Yeah, tailback. Yeah. Ground and pound.
Yeah, that was a heck of a football team. So, Coach, you've had that taste before, and just how much I know it's a while back, but just how much have you carried that into as you being a head coach?
I'll just backtrack a little bit. Prior to coming to Porter, I was at a very successful program, McAllen Memorial. So I kind of take everything I can from each head coach that I work under, from every program that I've been part of, and just start implementing a little bit of what they did, meaning the head coaches that I worked for, and then implement my part. Definitely that success we had early on, that was our 3rd year. I remember my first year at Porter, we came in and we went 0-10, and I think we scored 21 points the entire season. So it's a rough patch to get started. The following year, we win 3 or 4 games, and then after that, we knocked the door down and made the playoffs. Unfortunately, we ran into a very tough Vela team that I think they won 3 rounds that year with Coach Mike Salinas, now at Kingsville. But we always look back at the success that's been there to tell the kids that it is possible. If you go back to what you mentioned about Kevin and that infamous year where we went 5-5, that game against Pace where, and I laughed with Coach Pardo about it because he'll mention it to me. He's like, "Hey man, that should have been a win for you." And I said, "Yeah, Coach, I would have enjoyed that help there."
It was one of those Des Cotted type things.
Yeah, and you know what? You know what's crazy about it is that we had back-to-back unfortunate situations, and I won't mention the crew because everybody makes mistakes, but. We had a missed call, not a bad call, a missed call for a touchdown to end the game, and we win that game. The following week, we play our coming up in our opponent in Palmview, and we tie the game in the last play of the game. We go for the extra point, and we fumble the snap. We bobble the snap back, and we don't even make it to overtime. In hindsight, as a coach, you always say you go for 2 when you're at home if you feel confident. We were down 14 going into the fourth. We come back and we're playing for a tie to go to overtime because we thought we had the momentum. But in hindsight, you always said, I should have gone for the win. So there was some missed opportunities. I think that team was very successful. That team had a lot of potential to make the playoffs. The following year, Kevin's senior year, we were a COVID positive test away from playing Nicky Road to make the playoffs. So in reality, when you look at it, the success has been there, like you mentioned. We've been knocking at the door, but unfortunately, we haven't been able to get through. Even this year, we're 1-4, we're 0-4 in district. There's still a lot of football left to play. Is it going to be tough? Yes. But right now, we're preaching to our kids that we're halfway through district. Anything can happen, grades, injuries. So not that we hope anything bad happens to the opponents, but we got to take care of business one game at a time and lay the chips where they lay. At the end of the day, we'll see what happens at the end and see where we stand.
Yeah, 17-7 against East.
Yes.
42-28 against Mackay, who they're Hunter Curling. They're
tough team.
Their mojo over there. And then now you guys have Palmview up next, and we've seen in these last couple of years, particularly at the running back position, they have been pretty darn sharp.
Yeah.
I know 2 years ago they beat Mission Vets, and that just shocked everybody there just a little bit. But with what you can share, what are some X's and O's that
Maga does a great job over there. Same thing there. And we joke when we speak because we always say, hey, man, take it easy on me. So take it easy on me. We've had very competitive games. I think the last 3 times we played, if you want to add the points, I think in the last 3 games, maybe 7-8 points separate or victories and losses. So it's very competitive. I don't know what it is about Palmview. Our kids get up for the game, and I expect them to be up for this game as well. This year we're traveling over there for tomorrow's contest, and I expect the same. I expect a close, tough contest. Hopefully we come out victorious, but X's and O's wise, their offense is very uncommon, to say the least. They're very good at giving you a little taste of everything. They're not necessarily a certain option that they run. They go from a triple option, midline, they go spread. So they give you a little bit of everything, which for a defensive coordinator, in this case mine, he's always pulling his hair. He's like, man, here we go, palm you again. Here we go, man. Gotta get ready. You got to really work on everything. It's not necessarily a spread team or a ground and pound team all the time. He does a little bit of everything, and they do a great job over there. And we look forward to the challenge this Thursday, and hopefully we get on the right track this time and roll from here.
Now that it's just ironic that you're here and you're going to Palmview tomorrow night, but see the points are from Brownsville. Is there such a thing as that jet lag in the valley? Because I know, like when Real Honda would have to go play Juarez Lincoln, Coach Rocky James, is there such thing as that jet lag?
I don't think so. I think if you play into it, there can be for your players and your team. In my case, we're gonna take the last period of the day off. We're gonna get the kids out early just for travel purposes. There's that travel, you get through that Donna, McAllen, PSJ area, it's rough. Traffic's bad. So we're leaving early. Other than that, I treat it the same, man. Hopefully, if things go right, which you can't always plan it to be that way, we keep our routine once we get to the stadium. We walk the field, we feed the kids, tape the kids, we go through our transition things, and then we get ready to play. I mean, I don't believe in that. I don't think there's such thing as that. But at the end of the day, I think it's a mindset that you got to set the tone for the kids, and they'll follow your lead.
You guys have Lopez, Rowe, and Donna after Palmview. Not that we're looking ahead, but these are the home stretch, the final 4 games. Every coach will tell you, where we need to be, or we're peaked. We haven't peaked yet. We peaked too soon. Some coaches will say that.
Correct.
Where do you guys feel? Do you feel that? I mean, obviously it's 1-4, but do you feel that you guys are trending in the right direction?
Believe it or not, I think we're getting better. I really think we're getting better. Like I said, I don't think that our standing or our record really indicates how hard our kids have been playing and how competitive we've been. If you look at the scores, at halftime, I think we were down, and I'm guessing here, but I know I'm pretty close. I think we were down 7 to the Vets before they kind of ran away with it in the second half. I think we were down 17-14 the pace the following week. West Lacoitz, which you mentioned, I think we're down 7-0. And I think we were tied with Mackay at halftime. So for us, it's a matter of numbers. And that's one thing that, again, no excuses, but a lot of our problems is we don't have numbers. Our school, our football program is not a very big program. And I feel that's something we worked on this past bye week. It's just try to condition them better, if that makes any sense. I feel we run them a lot already, but I felt like we haven't been able to finish games sometimes. We're competitive. We're able to stay with teams for the most part. I don't think it's an adjustment issue. I think for the most part, we kind of just die out for that second half. And we're not able to stay with the teams, especially real good teams like Vets, you know, your Mac High. We got Nicky Rowe. We got Memorial. I mean, God bless, we got Palmy coming up. So like I said, I can't even look forward to the next team because this team's going to be just as tough. So for me, it's just trying to keep the kids motivated and get them ready to play every game.
Talk about the Williams boys.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Farrell Williams, I have a lot of respect for him. He's got an excellent track record.
Mm-hmm.
To me, one of the brighter minds offensively.
Definitely.
Then his boy is just a junior this year. Yeah. But going back to the building blocks and the pieces, he's got to be a key piece to what you guys are building offensively.
Definitely. You know, when I was looking for an offensive coordinator after I lost Coach Dean to moving purposes to Corpus, I knew what I had coming up, and I felt we had a lot of skilled kids coming up, and I wanted to let go of the reins at the same time because I was calling the plays as an offensive coordinator previously, and then as a head coach, I was still calling the plays, and I wanted to put that on the coach so I can look at the whole aspect of the head coaching position. So when I spoke with coaches around the Valley and try to get some guidance and guys with the spread who are doing a good thing and had experience of not just being successful in the Valley but outside of the Valley, he was one of the names that came up. Shortly after that, I reached out to him, and he was very much interested in the position. I brought him in. Like I said, we had some good teams this last couple of years, so he came in, he saw what we had. He was excited about Kevin, celebrating who Kevin was, and I think it was a mutual agreement that he was the best fit to come in, and he wanted to come in because he felt like he'd do a great job, and I think he's done that. Going to Gunner junior year, Gunner's been everything they've talked about since junior high. He's a great kid, not only a great athlete, but a great student athlete. The kids, the Valley Detroit right now is a junior, and his son Brock, who's a senior right now, he's a salutatorian right now. Wow. So you're talking about a high football IQ, kids that you don't have to worry about the classroom issue or football-wise, but going home to dad every day, I think helps them make sure they understand what's going on the offensive side of the ball. Mm-hmm. But definitely Coach Williams has been a blessing in disguise for our program, and we just look forward to continuing to work with the kiddos here.
So he just about sleeps with the playbook.
Pretty much. Yeah. He's got him right there. He's got to knock on the door. Dad, open the door. I got some questions for you. He does a good job.
Looking at Brownsville, obviously you guys down at Porter. Mm-hmm. You have Danny Pardo at Pace. We had Beto Leal on here.
Yeah.
He's awesome to have from Rivera. Coach Guess over at Hannah, and then Coach Lee doing some pretty good things over at BVM.
Definitely.
Great chat. I'm really interested to see what he's doing. But Brownsville as a whole, Coach, I think that it's really up the ante in these last few years.
I agree 100%. No, I agree. I agree with that.
It's earned its stripes.
I agree with that. You know what? We got 6 high schools here, and nothing but respect for Coach Guess and Coach Lee. But you look at the 6 high schools, you have 4 Brownsville guys running these schools, these programs, and I think everybody's doing a fine job. Coach Guess has a great track record. He's doing a phenomenal job at Hannah. Right now, maybe they're not what he wants to be, but I have no doubt that he'll have that program back and going either to finish a year off or next year. He's a competitor. Coach Lee has a great track record. Bringing him from the college ranks, I think, was a big plus for Vets. I think they gained a lot of benefits out of it. And I honestly believe that we're trending in the right position, trending in the right direction, And not just that, not looking forward to anything, but we have 2 6A schools. We have 4 5A Division I schools. I can't speak for anybody else. I don't know what's going to happen with the new realignment. I know our numbers are drastically low right now. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a school or 2 in Brownsville who will go down to 5A Division II, and that will only open up the doors for more teams making the playoffs in Brownsville, which I think that's well deserved. It's just tough, man. It's just tough right now in the kind of districts we're in. We're in a tough district. Our 6A partner parts are in a tough district with the Hardingens as well in Westlaco, San Benito, And so, a lot of good things happening in Brownsville, just a very competitive district that we're in.
Definitely. Coach Carlos Uresti of the Brownsville Porter Cowboys. Coach, for those that don't know, you're from the Valley, or tell
I'm from here. I'm from Brownsville. I'm a born and raised Brownsville guy. I graduated from Rivera. I played for the legendary and Hall of Fame Coach Tom Chavez. I love that man. Every time I see him, any chance I get to give him a call, I do that just to see how he's doing, check up on him. But graduated from Rivera, went to go play college ball in a small college in Sul Ross, where I met a lot of colleagues now. They're all over the valley, which I had no idea. You know, graduating from college at Sol Ross, I came back to the valley to start working at Rivera. When I came back, I didn't know there was such a huge group of Sol Ross alums in the valley. There's a ton of Sol Ross coaches in the valley, which I wasn't aware of. So that's been pretty neat. You know, it's opened doors for me to maneuver myself through these coaching rankings, I guess you can say. But shortly after working at Rivera for 5 years, I went to go work for, before I leave Rivera, I was able to work for Coach Jim Helms. And, you know, I'm going to tell you my coaching tree to an extent. I give all the credit to some people that I worked for. And one of them it's Coach Jim Helms, the legendary. I learned nothing but, I guess, the time that he put into coaching, it allowed me to understand that you needed to invest time in your program to be successful. Then I went to McAllen Memorial and worked for Coach Bill Littleton, you know, another legendary coach, a Valley Hall of Fame coach. So picking those two guys' brain a little bit before coming to Porter to work for a good friend of mine, Coach Tom Campos, allowed me to be where I'm at right now. And I'm very happy with what I've been able to do at Porter thanks to them. I want to quickly give a plug-in for my staff. I think that I have the best staff in Brownsville right now, and I like saying that. And I'm not picking on everybody, but I always tell the guys, I have the best staff in Brownsville. I think they deserve a lot of credit for the success that we've had and just the competitive nature that we've implemented in our kids. And I just wanted to plug them in because they deserve a lot of credit for what they've done, not just for me, but for the school.
And this is your 5th year, man.
Fifth year.
I remember when we first met, you were just getting started.
Correct.
I didn't, man. 5 years.
Time flies. Time flies, man. Time flies. Time flies when you're having fun. They say I'm working, but I'm having fun. I'm having a great time with the kids and just continue to get better overall, not just in football, but as a program for Porter Athletics.
Before we go, Coach, any other shout-outs that you'd like? I was going to give you your plug.
No, nothing, man. I just wanted to thank everybody for the continued support. I think the best thing that I can hear after games, not just football games, but, you know, we had a volleyball game last night that I'll talk about real quick. Yeah. We went up against the district-leading Brownsville veterans team, and our girls managed to play a heck of a game, man. They stole game 1. And then they were competitive for the remainder of the games, including losing 23-25. You know, I'm just very excited about Porter Athletics, and I'm proud about what our coaches are doing across the board at Porter.
Yeah, I've seen your volleyball girls. They're a scrappy bunch.
Yeah, they are. They are. Yeah.
And there ain't no breaks.
No, and you know what? The way you describe our volleyball team as scrappy, that's the way I would describe all our sports. Because if you look at us, I'll be honest with you, you won't be intimidating when you see us in the sideline or on the court. But when we start to play, you can only respect what we're doing.
100%. Coach Carlos Uresti of the Brownsville Porter Cowboys. Coach, good luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it.
On the other side of the break, Ruben and I are going to wrap things up here from Luke Faria Motors. You're watching Real Sports Live.
Island, be sure to book your place to stay with Island Services. Locally owned for over 40 years. Trusted, reliable for condo and beach house rentals. Call and visit the website today. Island Services.
We are the Orange Cardinals, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Hi, I'm Rodo Rodriguez, and I'm a partner with New York Life Insurance Company. For 170 years, New York Life has built a reputation for building some of the finest agents in the industry. I help to manage that process from day one. If you're looking to challenge yourself and build an insurance and financial service business, then I would like to show you how I can help.
We are Los Fresnos Lady Falcons, and this is Real Sports Live.
Aquí, en la Universidad de Texas A&M Kingsville, somos una familia. Nosotros nos apoyamos. Trabajamos juntos. Crecemos juntos. Triunfamos juntos. Nos inspiramos los unos a los otros para convertirnos en las grandes mentes del futuro. Estamos aquí para asegurarnos que tú triunfes. Aplica hoy para empezar. Es tu momento.
The Brownsville Independent School District continues to provide a safe environment for enriching education. From pre-K3 to early college high school, the award-winning district has advanced its legacy in curriculum, athletics, and fine arts. Teachers are driving the frontier of technology, bringing industry to the classroom. On and off the field, Brownsville ISD students engage in the experiences that make them college and career ready. Brownsville Independent School District, the best choice.
And he throws it down. Hey! See you later, touchdown.
And look for your motors, we're moving forward. Same great service, same great people, same great cars and trucks, and these great white letters. Our vision is crystal clear. Look for your motors. We're on the move.
We're the Lady Cougars and you're watching Real Sports Live. We are the Harlingen Lady Cardinals and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Here at Texas A&M University, Kingsville, we are a family. We support each other through thick and thin. We work together, grow together, excel together. We inspire each other to become the great minds of the future. We are here to ensure you succeed. Apply today to get started. This is your time.
And he throws it down. Hey! See you later, touchdown.
I love what I do. I really
love what
do.
I'm doing. I love children. One of the most important things to do is to love your students.
Imagine teachers like these helping your child prepare to change the world. Take a closer look at Mission CISD.
We're the Harlingen South Lady Hawks and you're watching Real Sports Live. Awesome!
Service is attitude. How far are we willing to go to service our community, our dealership here for you, and you? Sky's the limit.
We're the Red Texans.
Josh Moody and Coach Rolly Gonzalez of Josh Moody Loans are former Harlingen Cardinals and would like to wish all the teams good luck in tonight's games.
At HCISD, we embrace the future.
We learn to communicate.
At HCISD, we put our best foot forward.
At HCISD, we
Make noise!
At HCISD, we learn that the smallest of moments can make the deepest impressions.
At HCISD, we are creating the future together.
We are Santa Rosa and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Welcome back to Look for Your Motors. We're going to wrap things up here from Brownsville. First, a shout out to Coach Bobby Lucio from Marine Military Academy and Coach Carlos Uresti from Brownsville Porter. Thank you guys for joining us here on our show. What we have on tap for Thursday, starting tomorrow, PSG North at Edinburgh High, Brownsville Veterans at Brownsville Lopez, PSG Southwest taking on Mission Veterans, that game at Mercedes. Santa Rosa at Taft, Flower Bluff at Corpus Christi Ray, that game going down at Buck on Friday. Sherryland at Mercedes, La Jolla taking on Edinburgh North, Westlaco at Harlingen, Bernie Geneva at St. Joe, Port Isabel at Sinton, Ed Calchelsa at Pioneer, Harlingen South at San Benito. That game's still pending approval. We're still waiting to see if we can get the approval on that. So just put a little star next to that one. It is on our schedule though. McCallum Memorial at Brownsville Pace, Alice at Corpus Christi Miller, that game at Buck, Santa Gertrudis at Lyford, Corpus Christi Moody meeting Corpus Christi Vets at Cab, and then Odom at Bunketti. That's on Friday night. So those are our games that we have Friday night. Saturday we also have the nightcap at Sam's. That's Los Fresnos at Brownsville, Nevada. So just of the complete list of games, real quick, what game or two stands out to you?
game I do think it's, hear me out, it's going to be a crazy one, but I think McAllen Memorial taking on Pace. Memorial is undefeated in district play, first in District 16 5A Division 1, but they do have Pace, and Pace, although tied in district record 2-2, I think they can manage to turn it around. They have the run attack down, but they will be able to counterattack Memorial's run attack as well, so it's going to be a toss-up for me.
So Harlingen South at San Benito, obviously the Hawks getting that big win in the Bird Bowl. Just how quickly can they rebound? Both teams coming off a short week, having to play on a Saturday, so that game is going to stick out for me. And then the game I'll be at on Friday, Gurney Geneva coming in taking on St. Joe. St. Joe continuing to get better each week, and they're 2-0 in district play, looking to keep their they're 2-0 in district play, looking to keep their unbeaten district record. And then we have one football game on Saturday. Just to give you a little tease, switching gears to volleyball real quick. It's been a big week in volleyball throughout the Valley and on Real Sports Live. Saturday we have a couple of blockbusters. Los Fresnos at Brownsville, Rivera, that's football, excuse me. Sharyland McAllen Memorial, that's a big one in 31-5A. Pioneer at Mac High, and then in 31-6A, Edinburgh Villa at Edinburgh High, PSA North at Edinburgh North, and then the Bird Bowl, Harlingen South. So the three games that really stick out is Sharyland at McAllen Memorial, Pioneer at Mac High, and then Harlingen South. So those three games, big-time blockbuster games coming to you on Real Sports Live on Saturday. So you can get your football fix Thursday, Friday, jump onto the hardwood, watch some volleyball on Saturday, and then wrap up your day with Brownsville, Rivera, and Los Fresnos at the nightcap, 7 o'clock at Sam Stadium. So, again, special shout-out to everyone here at Luke Furia Motors. John Edge promised to be on next week, so we're going to take a rain check there. We're hoping to have him on next week. He's the guy who runs this place here. We're thankful for him and everyone here at Luke Furia Motors. Special shout-out to them, always opening their doors to have us come in and do their show right here in their showroom. On behalf of myself, Kevin Arrow, Ruben, Joe Bowling, and everyone at Real Sports Live, saying so long for now from Brownsville.